A federal high court judge in Abuja who granted an order for bank accounts not linked to bank verification numbers to be frozen has reversed his decision. Justice Nnamdi Dingba explains that he realized that the October the 17th order created an awkward and unfortunate result. The reversal means that those who have not linked their bank accounts will now be able to do so at their convenience. Customers will not be able to withdraw funds from unlinked accounts, but will be able to do so immediately they link their accounts. Mr. Dingba granted the controversial orders while ruling on an ex parte motion filed by the Attorney General Abubakar Malami that under the Money Laundering Act 2011, bank accounts not linked to BVNs were suspicious and sought absolute forfeiture of all funds trapped therein. And barely 2 days to the Anambra State governorship election, the governor is rallying support for the All Progressives Grand Alliance, which he says must be the people's choice. Governor Obiano, who is speaking during a state broadcast today, gave account of his stewardship since he assumed office in 2014. Governor Obiano is also asking all candidates, especially the four front contestants, to toe the path of peace and let the people's choice emerge.
Three years and 8 months ago, when I assumed office as your governor, Anambra was in fair grip of criminals, kidnappers, armed robbers, roamed the length and breadth of our state. Our people lived in fear, and many of us could not go to bed with both eyes closed. In the Anambra, but our story has changed today. We have turned our adversities into advantages. November 18 is 2 days away. The time to answer the call of history has come. The time to finally demonstrate our readiness to safeguard our future has come. The time to show the world that we are prepared to defend the freedom we have enjoyed in these past 3 years and a half has come. Casting our votes for APGA is important, but protecting our votes to make sure that they count is even more important. So I urge you to show some commitment to this cause. Devote some time to vote and a little more time to ensure that our votes count. Fellow citizens, I will not fail to use this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, for reaching out swiftly to order the reinstatement of my security details that were whimsically withdrawn from me 2 days ago. Mr. President has indeed shown that certain excesses do not go unchecked under his watch.
Police in Abia State has declared restriction of movement along the state's border with immediate effect. Mr. Anthony Ogwizi says the restriction became necessary based on intelligence reports on threats to lives by the outlawed indigenous people of Biafra. He also adds that the group has been circulating leaflets targeted at intimidating and forcing citizens to close their shops on Saturday, November the 18th, in solidarity with the group. Let's cross over to Abuja now, and here's Linda Akigbe. Hey, Linda.
Hello, Ijoma. We begin in Edo State, where 169 indigents who were recently deported from Libya have returned to their home and have been recounting their experiences. The deportees were received at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, and taken to Benin City, where the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Professor Yinka Omorogbe, who doubles as the chairman of a task force, explains the government's plan to reintegrate them into the society.
169 indigents of Edo State deported from Libya arrive in Benin City, the Edo State capital, after being received by officials of the Edo State Task Force Against Human Trafficking at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos on Wednesday. The deportees comprise 168 females, 15 of whom are pregnant, and 1 male. There are also 9 children in the group. This young girl says she narrowly escaped death back in Libya and is now happy to be back to Nigeria.
Many are dead inside the water. and many are still dead in deportation camps. In the Arabic country, there is no government, there is no president, there is no human rights, there's nothing like that. Their gun is their president, and you don't have anybody to cry onto. And our blacks are suffering, our boys are suffering, definitely, and our blacks are dying every day by day. They are injured, they shoot them day by day, and they're dying from bullets.
17-year-old Vera Okumbo narrates how she was deceived to part with 500,000 naira and leave her business of dressmaking in Benin City for the journey.
Now my money had to go, so my friends tell me say Italy money day. My dad, I still look the condition of my dad, my family. I decided to go. I gather money for work when I do. I go Libya. I gather 500,000, so they try me. I can't connect another money. Say make I take cross. They can't catch me autopsy. So when they catch me autopsy, they can't carry me go prison.
The Edo State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Professor Yinka Omorugbe, who's also the chairman of the State Task Force Against Human Trafficking, said the government will provide support for the returnees.
We try and assist them to gradually become integrated into society. Those who need to go back to school, we'll encourage to go back to school, assist to go back to school, like the governor has said. Those that need training will go into various training programs that are ours and that belong to the different NGOs and international organizations around. So we're going to assist the different people with packages that are appropriate.
Having tried to travel in search of greener pastures through illegal routes, the big lesson for these deportees is that with patience and hard work, they too can do well here in Nigeria.
And here in Abuja, the last is yet to be heard about the controversy surrounding the return and reinstatement of the former chairman of the Presidential Task Force on Pension Reforms, Abdulrasheed Nina. Now, the Senate committee investigating the matter is proposing to submit the report of its findings in December this year. The chairman of the ad hoc committee, Senator Emmanuel Polka, said this after the committee held a closed-door session in his office with the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Abubakar Malami. This is the second time the committee is holding an investigative hearing with the AGF privately without journalists in attendance.
The Secretariat has the right to schedule a meeting in a room that is conducive to them, and they decided that we should have a meeting here. And now the four chairmen were present, and so it didn't affect the substance of the committee investigation. So we don't want a situation where reports being peddled in the papers or electronic media will form or will dictate the substance of our reports. The press should allow us to do a thorough investigation. So at the time we are laying a report, interim report, by that time we have gotten all the facts of the matter. One thing I will assure you is that nothing will be swept under the carpet. Nothing will be swept under the carpet. But as it stands today, our decision is that let us conduct this investigation among ourselves so that we'll come out with a result that is not colored by either the press or by any person. But the truth of the facts and the truth about the matter will be told Nigerians at the appropriate time.
Meanwhile, lawmakers in the House of Representatives are recommending that analog broadcasting should not be switched off until 95% of digital switchover coverage is achieved in the country. The House is also calling for the amendment of digital laws in the country, including the acts establishing the National Broadcasting Commission to develop a standard regulatory documentation for digital broadcasting in the country. These recommendations and 18 others were adopted by the House and are contained in the report by an ad hoc committee investigating the process of digital switchover in Nigeria. Presented the report at Thursday's plenary session, the chairman of the committee, Representative Sunday Katung, explains that several infractions by some key players in the sector were discovered by the committee.
I rise by Honorable The committee was mandated to investigate all stakeholders involved in the digital switchover program with a view to ensuring it meets deadline, guarantees quality and cost-effective service to Nigerians. The committee was also mandated to investigate the sale of the 700 bandwidth to MTN and the concession to InView Technology of UK, as well as to ascertain whether the aggregators paid millions of naira for the delivery of 20 million boxes were capable of meeting the deadline. The committee held public hearing and investigative hearings, discovered infractions in the course of this assignment, drew the attentions of the parties to such infractions, and expected remediation. As we speak, some of the issues that require remediation have not been remedied. The committee discovered, for instance, that serving civil servants were directors in a private company. Also, a company got a contract to execute a project in Nigeria 4 months before it was incorporated. Those are some of the infractions that were observed.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, is calling for synergy among ECOWAS member states in order to stop money laundering and those who sponsor terrorism. The lawmaker appealed to ECOWAS leaders to come up with ways of sharing information among member states to help track money laundering and other financial crimes in the region. He was speaking at the meeting of the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa.
Successive governments across West Africa have, in the last 17 years of the establishment of the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, GIABA, met to brainstorm on how to tackle the problem of money laundering. At this 28th meeting of GIABA in Abuja, focus is fixed not just on how to curb money laundering, but also on how to track terrorists' financing in West Africa.
As you're all aware of, terrorism and illicit financial flows have become a major scourge and an issue of global concern. Repeated calls have been made for effective global collaboration to deal with the menace of terrorism, terrorist financing, and money laundering. Therefore, it will take effective networking, such as we're doing today, the coming together of nations to be able to deal with this global scourge.
In their separate remarks, both the coordinator of GIABA in Nigeria and the representative of the Minister of Justice highlights government's efforts to curb money laundering in Nigeria.
The Honorable Attorney General says that he would like to inform this audience of the effort of the Nigerian government to tackle money laundering and terrorist financing by first implementing the single treasury account, which helps in blocking leakages in the government system. The administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, has taken bold steps to restructure the institutions and strengthen the laws in order to maximize prosecution and conviction of offenders, and also to increase the recovery of stolen assets and guarantee transparent management of recovered and returned or repatriated assets.
The impact of money laundering and terrorist financing in our sub-region has not abated. It is still ravaging. The common man is still the victim. Information sharing is critical for us to make any meaningful impact. We should therefore enhance our information sharing protocols. I urge us to ignore the barriers that have over time restricted us from sharing information within ourselves freely.
The Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering on West Africa was established in 1999 but became operational a year after, with a view to facilitating the adoption and implementation of anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing in the region.